And this hour, we told you about a cold case in Polk County. It's solved 52 years later. Othram Incorporated, a private lab that processes DNA to offer answers in cold cases.
The lab has helped solve a number of other cold cases in the Tampa Bay area. Tonight, 10 Tampa Bay's Chris Hurst takes a deeper dive into why this one lab is seemingly at the center of cracking cases, sometimes decades old, and the relief it gives to families.
Forensic genetic genealogy has been around for a long time. DNA from a body or a scene is analyzed to match it to a person. But only recently have medical geneticists broken into the field, investing millions into a one-stop shop for solving cold cases. For more than 50 years, detectives in St. Petersburg were stumped to identify a woman found dead, stuffed inside a trunk on Halloween and left in brush near 38th Avenue South and 34th Street.
She had been obviously murdered and wrapped in plastic and put inside a trunk and left on the side of the road.
Wallace Pavelski is the cold case detective for St. Pete Police.
No identification on her, no one knew her locally, so it was kind of a mystery from the start.
It was 1969, and with no modern technology, leads quickly dried up. The mystery of the woman's identity and her killers were part of police lore.
So when I came on, it was kind of when you went in the evidence room, there was a big crate up there and said, this is the trunk case. If you can solve that, it'd be great for the agency. But no one really ever thought we had a chance of solving it.
Fast forward to a year ago, when police went from no chance to crack the case
Sylvia June Atherton, she was killed when she was 41 years of age,
to finally giving Sylvia Atherton's name back. So how did they do it?
So I started that process with Othram, speaking with them, and then taking a look at the samples that we had at the medical examiner's office.
Nearly a dozen cold cases in the Tampa Bay area have been cracked with help from Othram, a private lab hundreds of miles away in Houston. Because they've been at the center of so many major developments for Florida cold cases, we had to see what they do up close. What is it that you do here?
So we've built the only purpose-built laboratory in the world to identify victims and perpetrators from crime scenes.
The process starts with a source of DNA. If detectives have the skull of a cold case victim, they usually remove the petrous part of the inner ear bone because it doesn't degrade as fast as other bones. The fragment is pulverized, mixed with a solution, then spun in a centrifuge to isolate the DNA.
We've made it predictable, and we've created partnerships with law enforcement agencies across the United States, hundreds of law enforcement agencies over the last few years.
Othram is the first company to invest in the most advanced technology available to solve crimes, getting hits on samples no one knew how to test before.
I don't believe in closure when something really terrible happens to someone, but I do believe that the truth allows people to be able to turn the page to the next chapter of their life, to stop seeking those answers and to be able to move forward.
I was a little mind blown, to be honest with you, and especially as I learned more about the story, it just got a little crazier and crazier.
Heather Fox lives in Kentucky and about 18 months ago got a call from the Hernando County Sheriff's Office about her grandmother that disappeared in 1972. For 50 years, Peggy Nelson was an unidentified murder victim, her body found in the woods outside Brooksville. But Hernando's cold case detective, George Lloydgren, never stopped digging and discovered Othram in 2022.
By August of 2022, I got the results and a phone call back saying, we identified your victim.
From there, Lloydgren tracked down Peggy's family to confirm the match. Heather says it's been surreal to have some answers, but has been healing.
It's gotten me closer to family I didn't know that I had and who lived in the same town as me.
Since Peggy Nelson's name was revealed earlier this year, Lloydgren has made a major break in the case, learning Peggy remarried after leaving an abusive husband in Kentucky. That new man, Jerry Lee Fletcher, is now a person of interest in Peggy's murder.
Well, Jerry Lee Fletcher is a convicted murderer. And Jerry Lee Fletcher, we know, at least killed 2 young girls.
Fletcher died in prison 10 years ago. Lloydgren is trying to place Peggy and Fletcher at this motel on Nebraska Avenue in Tampa around the time Peggy was killed. He's hoping more tips come in to finally solve her murder.
I was like blown away. This poor lady didn't have a chance. She left that one relationship, ended up with a murderer.
The information is powerful enough to reopen old wounds, but for Heather Fox, she says she's glad they identified her grandmother.
This could help a lot of people get answers, you know, that they've desperately wanted, just like our family.
Othram has several more DNA cold case samples pending in the Tampa Bay area that it hopes to identify later this year, including at least one more in Hernando County, one by one turning cold cases into closed cases. Chris Hurst, 10 Tampa Bay.